Okay, so this is now 6.3. We're still factoring, except this time we're going to be doing trinomials where the leading coefficient is not equal to 1. So factoring form. So this time we'll have some sort of constant in front of the x squared. Okay. So, yeah, there. The main way I do these is just by trial and error. So after a while, you'll get a taste for doing the ones with the leading coefficient of 1, and these turn out to be not much different. It's just maybe a little more work. And so let's dive in here and just take a look. Okay. So the idea is the same. We want to factor into two binomials. The signs will work the same. So if this is plus and this is plus, you need plus plus. Okay. We need two numbers that multiply together to give us the x squared, and of course that's just x and x. But then we also want the constant part to multiply to be 2. So there's only one possibility for that in this case. It'll be 2x and x. So 2x times x will give you the 2x squared. Okay. For this part then we need factors of 3, but we're not going to think, the factors add to be 5. It won't work that way this time. So for the last term to be 3, it has to be 3 and 1 or 1 and 3. There's only two possibilities. Okay. So we'll try 2x plus 3 and then x plus 1. We need the inner and outer terms to add to 5. Okay, so in this case, I was lucky enough to get the right answer. If I add together the outer plus the inner, so 2x times 1 is 2x, and then 3 times x is 3x, I get the inner term here. Okay, so that turns out to be the correct factorization. Let's see what would have happened if I would have chosen incorrectly. So 2x plus 1, and then x plus 3. So in this case, I'll have 2x times 3, which is 6x, and then the inner terms would give me 1x. And of course, you would see that would be 7x, and that's not the 5x here. So this would be the incorrect factorization. Okay. Okay, so let's keep on going, taking a look at more and more. So number 4, we have 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. So the signs have to be plus plus. And again, we need 2x and x for the first term to work. And this is the other variation, right? So there was one factorization here, which gave us a 5x in the middle. This is the one we want this time. So we want the 7x. So we can put in, how did we do it? The 1 and then the 3. And then, of course, in your mind, you want to factor it out. So let's go ahead and factor it out. We have first 2x squared, outer, plus 6x, inner, plus x, and then last, plus 3. So you'll have 2x squared plus 7x plus 3, which is exactly what we want. And that's what we got. Let's look at number 6. You have 2x squared plus 19x plus 35. Okay, so I'll set up my parentheses. I need pluses, plus plus. This will have to be 2x and x. And then I'm thinking 2 factors to give me 35. So probably, well, there's only two possibilities, either 1 and 35 or 7 and 5. Okay? 1 and 35 isn't going to work because the outer and inner terms will be way bigger than 19 once you add them together. You'll see that through experience. I mean, you constantly have to FOIL these in your head and check. And you'll get really good at it to the point where you don't need to go through all the motions. So anyways, I'm going to check 7 and 5. So I'll do 7 here, and then x plus 5 here. And then check your inner and outer. So the outer is 10x, and then the inner is 7x. Okay, so that won't work. So try another one, 2x plus 5, and then x plus 7. So you check the outer, 2x times 7 is going to give me the 14x, and then 5 times x is going to give me 5x. And then we see, oh yeah, 14 plus 5x is going to give me 19x, and that'll be the correct factorization. Okay. I urge you to, again, multiply these out in your head. That'll give you more practice and give you more experience, and after a while it'll be like magic. It'll just be embedded in your brain somewhere, and you'll be able to do these without thinking. So the first 2x squared, the outer plus 14x, the inner plus 5x, and then the last plus 35. Okay, let's try some with the different sign setup. So we'll have 3y squared minus y minus 4. Okay, so before we were doing plus pluses. Now we have a minus minus, and the sign set up for that scenario is plus minus. It has to be that way because when I multiply this times this, I need to get a negative. Okay. So on the other end, I need a y and a y, 3y and 1y, right? So that'll give me 3y squared when I multiply them out. It's just I got to be careful this time. There's a lot of different ways to set it up. Okay. On the other end, we could do 4 and 1, 1, 4, 2, 2, and it's going to come down to experience, just trial and error and experience. Okay, so let's try this setup and see if it works. 3y times y is 3y squared, the outer, minus 6y, the inner, plus 2y, and then the last minus 4. So we get 3y squared minus 4y minus 4, and no, that didn't work, right? So we probably want to do something drastic. It's not a matter of the signs, just the signs being wrong. This middle guy is really not working for us. So, you know, we'll probably want to change these numbers to 4 and 1 or 1 and 4. If you put 4 over here, you're going to end up with a 12 when you multiply the outer terms, so that's not going to work. So we need to put the 4 here and the 1 here. Let's try it. Okay. FOIL it, so 3y squared minus 3y plus 4y minus 4. And then, of course, it's 3y squared plus y minus 4. And we compare and contrast. This is very, very similar to this. It's just the sign is opposite. So when this happens, generally it's a case that you just reverse the signs and you'll be good to go. Okay. So instead of y minus 1, you're going to go with y plus 1. Then instead of 3y plus 4, you're going to go with 3y minus 4. And 9 times out of 10, that'll do the job. So let me check it still. So y times 3y is 3y squared. The outer is minus 4y. The inner is plus 3y. And then the last is minus 4. Okay. So of course we get 3y squared minus y minus 4. And that is what we wanted. Okay, so this would be our correct factorization. Okay, so let's keep moving. Here's number 14. We have 3x squared minus 10x plus 7. Okay. So this time our signs have to be minus minus. And it's got to be 7 and 1. Okay, so we can automatically fill in some of the blanks. So we're left with 3x and 1x, or 1x and 3x. If we put the 3x here in this position, the inner terms when we multiply them together are going to be 21. So it's going to be so far away from 10, it's almost useless. So I suspect the correct factorization will be the 3x minus 7 and then just x minus 1. Okay, let's factor that. Let's FOIL that and see if it worked. So I have 3x squared for the first, the outer minus 3x, the inner minus 7x, and then the last plus 7. Okay. Combining like terms, you get 3x squared minus 10x plus 7, and sure enough, that's our answer. Let's try 6w squared minus 17w plus 12. Okay, this time there's, I believe, a lot more possibilities. 12 can be factored 3 ways, 4 and 3, 12, 1, 6 and 2. And then 6 can be factored 2 ways, 6 and 1, 1, 6. So there's a ton of possibilities, and you may have to, do a bit of trial and error. The sign, though, obviously, there's only one possibility there. It has to be minus minus. Okay. And then we need to get our numbers. So if you use one as 12, and you can use the other one as 6 and get 18, that's not going to work. Probably 4 and 3 will have to be the deal. I mean, but it's just kind of guesswork. Let's try 3w minus 4, and then 2w minus 3. Okay, so we note 6w squared and plus 12. If nothing else, we got this one and this one. We just need to make sure the middle part works. So here we go. I have negative 9w, and then negative 8w. Oh my gosh, and I got it. Sometimes you get lucky, right? So negative 17w for the middle. So let's go ahead and fill that in. 3w minus 4 and 2w minus 3. So like I said, after a while, you're just going to get a feel for it, and it'll be like magic almost sometimes. So anyways, multiply it out in your head, make sure it still works, of course. So 3w times 3w is 6w squared. The outer, 3w times negative 3 is minus 9w. The inner, minus 8w. And then the last, plus 12. So we'll have 6w squared minus 17w plus 12, and it worked. Let's try one with multiple variables now. So this will be number 50. We have 6x squared minus 7xy minus 5y squared. Okay. So again, set up your signs. Because of this sign, it has to be plus minus. The 5, we're going to have 5 and 1. And of course, we'll have to slip in a y. And then with the 6, you could say, all right, it has to be 6 and 1, but you would be left too far away from 7 when you do the outer and inner. So it's got to be 3 and 2 or 2 and 3. So we'll try 3 and 2. Okay, so the outers, negative 3xy, and the inners, plus 10xy gives me 7xy. Okay, so these are almost exactly the same, right? But this one's positive, this one's negative. So what do you think you do? Well, just change the signs here and you should be good to go. So instead of 2x minus y, you're going to go 2x plus y. Instead of 3x plus 5y, you go 3x minus 5y. Okay. As usual, FOIL it out in your brain. So we get 6x squared first, outer, minus 10xy, inner, plus 3xy, and then last, minus 5y squared. Okay. Combine your like terms, so I have 6x squared minus 7xy, and then minus 5y squared, and check, and sure enough we got it. Okay. After you do enough of these, you sort of start forgetting to check the GCF. So sometimes you can simplify these if you note that each one is divisible by a common factor, and that's what you want to do. You want to pull out any common factor. So it's basically a rule of thumb at this point. Your first step is to factor out any GCFs first. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at what I'm talking about. Here's problem 60 from the book. We had 4x squared minus 18x minus 10. And you know each one is divisible by 2. So you're going to factor a 2 out of all three of them. That'll leave you with 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. And then you're going to go ahead and factor this. Okay, so don't forget to bring the 2 along for the ride. That's still there. And then you need 2 sets of parentheses. I'm going to have to go plus minus. And then these things are prime numbers, so it's always got to be 2 and 1 or 1 and 2. Here's 5, 1 or 1 and 5. So I'll pick 2x and x, and then it's got to be 5 and 1 like this. I don't know about the signs, I'll check. Okay, so first 2x times x is 2x squared. Outer minus 10x, inner plus 1x, and then last minus 5. And yeah, we got it. So 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. That'll be appropriate. So 2x plus 1 and then x minus 5. And I think we're good. 2 more. We have 64. 36y squared plus 6y minus 12. And this time the GCF is 6. So we'll factor out a 6. We have 6y squared plus y minus 2. Okay. And again, we have to find a factorization. The signs tell us it's plus minus. And then 6 and 1, 3, 2, and then for the last 2 and 1. Okay. So probably 3 and 2, right? So we'll go 2y plus something, 3y minus something. So we want the 2's on the outside and the 1 in the middle. This will be 4, and then minus 3 or plus 3. And hopefully that'll give us the 1y. So let's see what it does. So we get 6y squared, the outer minus 4y, the inner plus 3y, and then the last minus 2. This will be 6y squared minus 3y minus 2. Minus 1y minus 2. So we want the plus, so all we need to do is reverse the signs, I believe. So we'll have 3y plus 2 now, and then 2y minus 1. And then in your mind, you want to make sure that it worked. So we would have had 6y squared, the outer, minus 3y, the inner, plus 4y, and then the last, minus 2. 6y squared plus y minus 2. Okay, one more. And this is 88. Negative 10x squared y to the fourth plus 14xy to the fourth plus 12y to the fourth. This time it has a leading coefficient that's negative, so I'm going to plot the negative on top of everything else. And then I note each constant has a factor of 2. The lowest exponent on the x's is, well, you can't pull that out, right? So they don't have a common factor of x. Each one has a common factor of y to the fourth, though, so I could factor that out. Okay, so what's left over? I have 5x squared. The signs change because I pulled out a negative now. So minus 7x, and then minus 6. So negative 2y to the fourth. I want to factor this into two binomials. So you'll have 5x, and probably, I don't know, 2 and 3 has to be. So we want to put the 2 over here, otherwise the outers will be 15, and that's so far away from 7, it doesn't make sense. So it would be the 3 over here, and then x, and then we'll try plus minus because of the signs, it has to be. So let's FOIL it out. 5x squared, then the outer minus 10x, and then the inner plus 3x, and the last minus 6, and that'll work out nice. So 5x squared minus 7x minus 6, that's what we wanted. So we just fill in the blanks. And of course, this is our final factorization. If I wasn't making that clear, this is kind of our answer. Okay? Okay, so that's 6.3.